My laces that I stole from Hot Topic, fat laces, red, that said pimp.
Oh, that's
Pimp
what it was.
laces.
I steal every time I go to Whole Foods.
Do you really?
Every time. It's my bonus for working as a teller.
That's awesome.
When you make me self-checkout,
Yeah.
I self-pay.
Do you get that angry about stuff like that? Like, so I just had an incident at Marshall's similarly where they just didn't provide a bag and there was no bag to be found.
That is wild to me. That is wild to me.
Yeah, 2 square mile like store. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then similarly, when I'm going grocery shopping and I have a baby with me and a kid with me and a wife with me and the whole thing, and the person's just putting it through the price thing and then just letting it gather at the bottom, no like even inkling to go get a bag and to help and to complete her fucking job. And it's like, do you get, or, sorry, I'm already getting too mad.
Why did you make her a woman in this scenario?
Because I'm thinking of the specific
Why did God
person
make
that
her
I
a
got
woman?
upset.
Yeah. Why? Wow.
Yeah, but I don't know. You don't get that like level of rage where a job that used to be a full job is now half a job and you have to complete the other half of the job.
Well, I think the illusion of like, sorry to interrupt.
No,
you.
you're good.
I think the illusion of like being a good worker and that like it'll somehow reward you is over. Like, because nobody can afford anything anymore. And they, like it used to be like, I'll work like this and I'll move up and then I'll be able to afford these things and my quality of life. And now it's like you can be the best at your job and you still can't afford anything.
So why would I fucking try?
Why the fuck would I do it?
Yeah.
The Diddy trial has made me realize that. I said it on a
Why strive for excellence?
You can't even have parties anymore. You can't even wallow in your success.
This is what excelling gets you.
No, but
There's no class mobility. That's what I learned
right.
from the Diddy
That's
trial.
right. You just got every time you try to move up, they film you. But I was thinking like the whole grind set mindset and how many hours we put into this and how hard we work. And meanwhile, the biggest music mogul in the entire world is having days and hour-long fuck fests, just not even looking at his phone, like literally not interacting with billion-dollar corporations and deals, and instead lubing up some poor fella named the Punisher.
Dude, yeah, you're just like, oh, the thing that succeeds is like pure evil. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's how like kindness isn't like always like evolutionarily like helpful. It's like also in a social setting, it's not apparently. Although I disagree with that. I do think it is like socially, take care of the sick and we all survive and that kind of thing. But like, yeah, you do see just like evil shit work and you're like, oh.
So coming from an optimistic place like that, how do you feel when society pushes back so violently?
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
That's why I have my little pet rabbits and I go home and I try to pretend that things are.
Well, what's
You know what I
funny?
mean?
Because
That's solitaire for me.
well, and no shit.
Yeah, I play solitaire like 9 hours a day because my computer brain is just like emotions off.
Do you ever feel that way though? With like, because I have these like conflict of thoughts, but there's nothing that'll take me off the path. But it's a conflict of thought when you're like teaching your child empathy and teaching them how to be a good person and to be emotionally attached and to treat people with kindness and equality. And then you're like, I think I'm teaching them an irrelevant tool.
Yeah. I mean, I had that thought when it was like I was like telling my daughter to share, and then I was like, when do conservative people go like, hey, you don't actually need to share. You earned this. You do not need to share with anybody.
This toy
Yeah,
is
you should know
yours.
that your political views aren't good if it's illegal to raise a child on them.
Yeah.
No sharing, sit in the corner, kick that kid.
Yeah. These kids aren't allowed at your birthday party.
Do you know what I mean? Like my son, I may have told this on the pod, but I don't think so. But this made me think he's going to be all right, no matter what happens. He accidentally, I guess, was on his bus and he kicked a seatbelt and it hit one of his friends in the head, and he felt really bad about it. So he reached in his backpack, gave them $3, and said, "Don't tell anybody about this." His teacher told me that while I was chaperoning his trip, and she was like, "So yeah," and I was like, "Sounds like he's gonna be president." Like, he knows how the fucking world works.
That's amazing.
So funny.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody about
But that's
this.
what happens when you don't hit them. You have to bribe them, and then they take that into the world.
You have really sweet parents, right?
Yeah, they're the best.
Where are you
Anything
from?
that's wrong with me is like a chemical fluke.
Yeah.
Like I've literally spent my whole life trying to be like, it's all nature, no nurture. It's just like mental illness and like I have like the sweetest parents of all time.
Where are you from?
North Carolina. I was born in LA, but they moved us to North Carolina to like
Normalize you?
Yeah.
Wow.
They were like, oh, we don't want you doing like coke when you're 13 and weighing like 80 pounds. So if I grew up in LA, I would have had the opposite eating disorder. I would have been, you know what I mean? But North Carolina, no, it was like a great place to grow up. But it was like a hippie bubble. It was very like
Asheville?
similar vibes, but Carborough.
Okay.
So it was like, hanging out at the anarchist bookstore doing theater and shit.
Yeah,
it's great.
My whole dream growing up was to go to UNC. I wanted to go to
Really?
Chapel Hill my whole fucking life.
Dude, my next door neighbor when I was a kid, so my family's like very, like, for the most part, pretty nerdy, not super into sports, at least when I was like growing up. But our next door neighbor, he was like the assistant athletic director for UNC.
Oh, sick.
And so we would like, and his daughter and I were best friends. So like, we would like tag along and go like, this is how odd. I was like, we went backstage at the basketball game, but we would go like
backstage passes.
That's great.
But he'd have to do like radio and go to every sporting event that was happening like at UNC
That's
that
so
night.
cool.
So I grew up like going to like the football games and the basketball
Yeah.
games and stuff, and just had no idea what was going on.
That's kind of the bet. Like I really envy, and I think it's cool when like the NBA kids are always around it. And like you ever see like Steph Curry brings all of his children. He used to have like it's crazy to think that his daughter started as literally a baby on his lap in a press conference. And now she's like this, like, you know, about to be woman, teenage kid, like walking around out in the court. And you're like, that's fucking nuts. But I love the fact that like she's desensitized to it. It's not that big of a deal. It's actually kind of a really good service to provide your kids to be like, hey, I pined after this my whole fucking life. And this was such a huge deal for me. And that's incredible. And I got sucked up into the like glitz and glamour of it. But here you're exposed to the reality of it since you were a kid. And hopefully you're desensitized to thinking that this is anything that will
Minno's not
fulfill
even
you.
going to be phased by a free basket of sweet potato fries. She'll be like, that's normal.
Do you think she will end up wanting to go into comedy?
Not stand up, probably, because I don't even think stand up as we know it will exist by the time that she's. I think it'll be like Pete Guercio's channel where we just do it in a
I think
room.
we'll all be beamed into the same room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we'll all be in our living rooms or whatever, but with a helmet like from Batman Forever, and it'll just shoot some sort of beam, and we'll be in one place.
I think we're gonna be like. I think she'll want to do some kind of performance thing because she's like a real ham. Like she loves to like get in the circle and tell everybody what to do and yell and dance. She makes us all dance with her every day.
That's great.
She goes,
So
"Come!"
cute.
and grabs my finger and then pulls us in front of the mirror and then choreographs us. It's pretty cute.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Dude, that's how I was as a kid, and I didn't really know it because all of my, like, I was born right when like all my stuff was on like VHS tapes,
Mhm.
and then like in the last few years, my mom went and got it digitized, and I actually got to see it, and I was like, oh my god, I was like so annoying. Like I was like
Yeah.
doing like shows all the time, and be like, everybody be quiet, and like it was like awful.
I love
dude.
that. That's so funny.
So you
It was awful.
You performed voluntarily in front of company when they came over.
Yeah, or at least in front of like my parents and friends and stuff.
Okay.
Like I'd be like,
I thought I found a kindred spirit because I
oh,
used
you
to
were
sit-
you were.
we were like the Von Trapps. My wife still calls me the Von she calls us the Von Cannons because
Oh my God.
my sisters are two musical prodigies and I'm a dick joke idiot. But I could sing when I was younger before puberty and shit. So I would sing like Broadway duets with my sisters for company.
That's
Like when
awesome.
extended family, whatever, if we were at a party. I mean, thinking back on it, it's like unwell and everybody there must have been having the worst time. Because we were assaulting them with our talents.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember my friends and I wanted to start a band, and none of us played an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to get like custom jewelry made for it, and we were with. I've not thought about this in so long. We were with her dad when he was getting. You know that store Fido? Do they have that up here?
I don't
It's like
think
a
so.
dog store.
No.
But they do like custom dog collars.
That's sick.
And we got dog collars with like just like the little gem.
Yeah.
With like they were called like the Black Roses, and then we put it on a little necklace, and we were like, we have our band merch. Now we have to learn how to play guitar.
Hell yeah.
Sing,
Now the
write
lessons
songs.
It was
begin.
just the idea of like,
Choreograph.
but we were also watching like so much like kids entertainment at that time was like Hannah Montana,
Yes.
iCarly. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to be like a YouTuber. That's like the coolest thing
Oh,
ever.
so you grew
and
up-
now we kind of
Yeah,
are.
you're like a whole, I think, what are you, 26?
I'm 26.
Yeah.
I think I'm technically Gen Z.
I'm 42, so like we were watching very different things.
You just said that with the most Dust Bowl expression I've ever
It's
seen
so
in my
much.
life.
I was
You're
adding
just
it up.
I am technically 42.
16 years older. But it was, I mean, I think everything was like, did you ever watch a VHS? Like, did you ever put it at VHS?
I have some vague memories of being a kid and having those like on a shelf, but it was like just.
You were DVDs.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I had like Facebook in like 4th grade. Like, it went
That's crazy.
so fast
Yeah.
that it's like, yeah.
That's the
But that was when
biggest
I had-
thing. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. I just it made me think like they had message boards. Remember that when you
Yeah,
would like fight people?
yeah.
And my profile picture was Brian the dog, and I would fight Christians on atheist message boards.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, I was such a like annoying cunty atheist.
That's
when
great.
I mean, because I was in that phase of like
course.
whatever. But I remember for my 9th birthday, I asked my parents to take me to a Richard Dawkins lecture at Duke.
What?
Holy shit.
Because I was like, really, I
Wow.
spent a whole summer like watching it. No, I'm like culturally autistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? like the same way that I'm like culturally Jewish. I'm like, I don't have like, but it's like,
Yeah.
I grew
Yeah.
up around it and it is part of me.
Yeah.
But sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. It's making me think about all of the shit that I did like that when I was a kid.
I feel like we low key grew up in very similar, like liberal, kind of weird, heady. Like I don't know that much about your childhood, but every time you drop some lore about it, I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a lot
same,
of
dude.
like I learned about pronouns in the 90s, you know, that kind
Whoa.
of thing. Yeah, and like veganism and all that stuff.
I
Like
didn't know
Damn.
there were pronouns in the 90s.
yeah,
Yeah,
me neither.
Even in sentences.
yeah,
But
there
I'm-
was all that.
But I'm saying I was using like they them pronouns in like 8th grade and shit, and like
Yeah,
had
and
blue
then
hair. Like it was just
and then
off
like
the deep end.
what the fuck? Did you guys have the natural food store type shit too? Were you on that?
we had like a co-op
Yeah,
that had all these like gluten-free vegan.
Our co-op, Stephen Wright worked at. Wow. When
The
he-
closest my
before
family
the
got
whole
to
thing,
this
yeah.
was eating local honey and blue chips.
Oh wow.
Blue tortilla chips.
Blue chips were a big. That was a big gateway into
Yeah.
health food. was
I think
the blue
microplastics
chips.
might be good for you because I'm looking at I'm like you have so much more energy than I do.
Yeah.
No, I'm matcha to the gills right now.
It doesn't even. I've had 4 times as much caffeine as Mike today, and
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I'm really affected by it. My wife recently told me she because I chew straws all the time too, so my body is a microplastic, and she said she was like, you know, you've eaten enough to have a spoon in your brain. I was like, oh, where did you get that?
Now you got a spoon.
I have a whole spoon in my brain. I don't know if
Oh.
it's taken shape.
Now I remember.
But it's enough
you
of the
saying
plastic.
that thing about your wife reminded me about what I was going to say a second ago, which is that the thing I'm worried about with my daughter, or the thing I think about, you know, dystopian future, is the phones. I think like the phones thing. Like
Can't imagine.
I grew up where a phone was a thing that stayed on a wall. A computer took a fucking long time to load.
Mm.
It was, you know, summers were like creeks, finding
Yeah.
dead things, poking them with a
That's the
stick,
best.
lighting
Stand by me.
fires.
I even feel that distance of like I grew up with the like peak internet years for me as a kid was like I don't know, like 2009 YouTube, where it wasn't like optimized social media yet.
It was
Like
just random.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be like a video called like Egg, and then you clicked on it, and it's someone dropping an egg, and it does 12 million views, and they're
Yeah.
interviewed in Time magazine about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
You could
it
also
wasn't
still
like,
see hardcore violence on YouTube.
that shit was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I remember kids in 4th grade would send you like, here's a guy getting his head cut off,
The
and I was like, I
Columbine
don't want to watch
security
that.
footage. My college roommate,
Jesus, really?
I think it was in 07. He
Christ.
he used to do gravity bongs in his room,
And
then he'd be
watch
like,
the
Mike,
call.
come here. He goes, Mike, come here. You got to check this out. And he didn't put it on yet. He goes, I'm surprising you with what we're gonna watch. And I'm like, okay. And so I took a gravity bong. I'm on Jupiter.
Oh, my
and then he's like,
God.
watch this. And then it's like black and white, 2 kids like clinking fucking the holsters of their guns together. It's a nightmare.
Jesus
It really
Christ.
puts the reality of the situation much more like in your brain than just reading about it.
God.
Well, where do we go from here?
And I will say, I still think TikTok's worse than that. I still
do.
think
I actually do.
I still think a 9-year-old
just gonna
girl
say
watching a
that.
get ready with me makeup tutorial with the fucking snatched filters on does more damage than watching. I
don't-
don't know. But
I don't even think the content is the problem. I think it's the way the content is
Yeah.
suggested. And Rosebud just sends me like 1,000 reels a day that are just like, this is how kids' brains are rotting.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is how the kids will all end up being sociopaths.
But
You
this
know?
is a real.
Yeah.
Well, you
Exactly.
ever catch yourself being radical or them trying to radicalize you?
Your wives?
The algorithm.
Oh.
The algorithm where like you might like something previously and then a day later it's like ratcheted up to 10 and then you scoop by it and then like 2 days after that it's right in the middle of those two things.
I think the most
Every time I try
insane
to... Oh, sorry. No.
we keep on doing this.
Sorry.
Everybody's just so excited to be together.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're
We were
doing.
raised at the same co-op and now like the domino effect
we went
of
to the
like...
same Waldorf school. No, I my Instagram, every single... I could pull up Instagram right now. The reel that I want to watch, something I follow, if I swipe, like if you click on it so that it becomes a reel off of the feed, and then the next thing will be the most insane shit ever. It'll be like, do you like rubbing cum all over your body? And I'm like, and then the next one will be like, how to optimize Christianity to lock in. And then the next one's like, it makes zero sense.
It's
like
thing I've ever heard.
To lock in.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what
it doesn't because you haven't put your faith in it yet.
Okay, that's true. Who's that salesman? The buff bald guy?
Yeah, the bald guy who goes, nobody can fuck my wife like I fuck my wife.
I can't wait till he
like,
dies.
right.
Well,
It's
funny. So fascinating when you're like, dude, I love asking people what their Discover page looks like because I think we have really different algorithms.
My Discover
I
page
can't
is-
show you my Instagram Explore page. It's
My
just
Discover page is all
unacceptable.
heavy-breasted Mediterranean.
Well, that's the problem.
and it's a mix of Mediterranean meaning
you
also...
describe like a chicken dish.
It is. That is a chicken dish. That is exactly what my feed is.
Mediterranean.
It's like beaches in Sardinia, and then
There's not one other
women,
video.
that are just have heavy breasts that are also kind of caramel skinned.
I don't understand how people can like mime getting doggy style sex and do yoga in like transparent lip huggers that like completely spread apart, and it's like 48,000 likes, 1,800 comments, and I mute the word jizz and I'm shadow banned for 8 months.
That's the same thing. I made fun of the Afrikaner refugees. I was like, if you're a white refugee, like that's kind of on you.
Yeah.
It was like a front facing thing that my social media guy asked me to do. So I did it, and nothing, zero, no views, and all my other views were good. And then like the next video that I swiped through is like how to open up your asshole so that you can take bigger cock. I was like, why did mine got banned?
Like, first of all, bookmark. Second of all,
But it is weird because then it makes everything this kind of like pseudo-sexual, like it's like at the same time like highly sexualized and highly sanitized, which is like creepier and more of a mindfuck than if you just were watching like something like someone like
talk.
topless.
Yeah, we were talking about this at the cellar the other day where we were like, oh, sex was the original seller. Like that was the sex sells. Now it's rage is selling more so than even sex. Like that's kind of the new sex sells is like if this can make you angry, it will basically mobilize an entire unit of people.
Yeah, if we could, if I had the bandwidth, like, and also the emotional detachment to do it, it would be so easy to grift Trump people. I've heard all these things about if you just like have a product and you put like Trump on it, you can sell like supplements and people will just give you tens of thousands of dollars.
Dude, you remember at the airport they would have the like Trump chocolate bars and the Kamala chocolate bars right next to each other, and depending on which one had sold more, I would like check in to be like who's gonna win. It was just a clear graphic of like who's buying. But then you're like, are they buying him because they want to eat him? Like I don't know. That's hard to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, interesting. But then also
Get into the mind of a chocolate bar eater.
That's why I'm here, brother. That's why I do podcasts. A peek into the window of the chocolate factory, if you will. Political analysis through candy.
Andy, you look like you're struggling with an idea.
I was trying to think of a joke, and it's the third podcast. You know how I am. I'm hanging on by a thread.
You're doing great.
Oh, I have not a joke, but a thing that I was going to say earlier, which that I think is maybe inspires some hope, is that I feel like kids my age or whatever, adults my age that did grow up with that part of the internet, I think there's a big pendulum swing of like, we are like, my kid's not having a phone till they're 18.
Yeah.
Like, I think-
that's how we are. We're like, we can't do this to because I'm like I will pick up my phone, open Instagram, go like, what the fuck am I doing? Shut it, put it in my pocket, grab it immediately and open up it.
It's like reopening the fridge.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. And I hate it.
It really makes me hate myself. Like every time I go through my cycle of like, of literally opening it, reading an email, and then I'm all of a sudden on Instagram, and then I'm all of a sudden like going through the cycle of activity.
And it's like 2 hours later.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
You know what? This will make a great clip. Perfect clip. Let's feed the beast.
Well, it's fun. My son, for the first time ever, said YouTuber to me, and he's not yet 6, but he's like, you're on YouTube? You're a YouTuber?
Oh my God.
To me, and I was like, I have stuff on YouTube. I was like, what are you talking about? Because we don't watch like, we've watched YouTube, we've watched like Miss Rachel or whatever. It's not like, but he's definitely not scrolling or any of that shit. But he's like, oh, my friend is a YouTuber. She does videos on YouTube. And I'm like, man, you really like, that's the trickiest part of parenting is whatever you think you have on lock, the outside interference or outside influence is so out of your control that all you can do is just damage control at all times.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing
plugging holes.
Middle schoolers say they want to be now is influencers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy 20 minutes ago. I was like, I wanted to be a YouTuber when I was a kid.
I wanted to be an influencer today.
I mean, I'm 40 and I'm like, I'm hoping to be an influencer.
Yeah, I would love to get some
ready
products
with
that
me.
will pay me to slang them.
Get ready with me as I tie my noose for the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
For the afternoon.
Get ready with me, suicide?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
I
not
love
bad.
that.
All right, new sketch coming at you.
It cuts to the sketch.
Yeah, that would be perfect. What so did you, because I'm so interested in growing up with the internet, because I would like I think Andy was in a similar situation, but you must have been in high school, because I was in 8th grade. I got it. Like it was just given to us as a thing. So we just like experimented with it hardcore, which, you know, I had to joke about it on my first album, but I was like, I knew so little about it. And nobody explained what it was because they also knew nothing about it. I was in 8th grade AOL searching for 8th grade girls naked.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I just didn't know that was not cool. And the results were successful. That's the problem.
That's terrifying.
And it was on my friend's parents' AOL account, so I'm sure they're dealing with the repercussions. But it was like, it's one of those things where at least by the time you were young, right, you knew what it was, where like, I'm sure your parents even were like, don't do this or this or this. I was literally in AIM chat rooms talking to what I thought were divorced women about how they could spice up their sex lives, but it was 100% with an older dude.
I will
and
say
I'm like
we
12.
did do like, we'd go to a sleepover and get on like chat roulette. And like, I remember one time like a group, you know, us in like 6th grade, and we would match with a, like, you know, like a couple, like a college couple or something that was like there to pull pranks. And I remember them being like, get off of here.
Yeah.
We're like, no, this is funny. Switch. And it's like, but at the same time, I'm like, it didn't fuck us. I don't know. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like,
that is like a child walking onto Skid Row. They're like, kids, get that. This is not for you.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy in retrospect. But then also, like, I don't know. I do think there was good stuff about like so many of my interests I wouldn't have found if it wasn't for the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's just like niche stuff that I'm like, my parents weren't into that, but then I found it through this, and then now I know about it. Like, I think my parents were pretty pro, like, they were like, you know, they would like check in and monitor us and make sure it was safe and things, but I think they were like, you should be part of the world and learn how the world works, and like, you know, I do, yeah. Like, I mean, comedy and shit, like all the comedy I watched was like ripped on YouTube bits at a time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch like a full special until like college.
That's so interesting.
It was all just like
Yeah.
clips from like a Louis special that some random user uploaded, and you like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that was like a net positive, I think.
I remember like just getting into like the idea of starting stand up. So I was really like consuming every piece of content I could, like specials. I was winning in poker at the time. So I bought literally thousands of dollars worth of comedy specials and just watched them for like a couple months. I was just going crazy. And then I remember Dane Cook was the only guy who had content on his page, like on his webpage, but it was like 2 sets. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, there needs to be more. This is insane. The appetite is there. Like, what's going on? And now it's like the exact opposite, where we're just being flooded with bullshit.
Yeah.
And myself included, where I'm like, I'm putting out stuff I never even, if I was really like curating a body of work that I wanted out there, a lot of what I post would not be out there.
30% is,
you know what I
might
mean?
last,
And I think that's like, I don't know. It sucks. That sucks because I'm talking about my specials are all what I want to put out. I'm talking about like crowd work and any kind of like promotional piece that you half-heartedly put out there because you need to feed the beast.
Yeah.
But it is like a weird thing where everybody just would be so particular about what they expose to the world. And with your parents being like, be a part of the world. It's like the internet was so optimistic at that time. It was still a tool that could potentially bring us together.
It was like the beginning of COVID when everybody was like, you can get on Zoom and hang out with your family.
Yeah. You could sing Imagine All the People with other celebrities.
I do think that your generation, though, weathers internet better than our generation because it's just like,
I'm not built for it.
My first internet was not even AOL. It was like Netscape. I think.
Netscape Navigator.
Yeah, and you had to you logged into that, and there wasn't like you could go to other pages. You just were in Netscape. It was like you just, and AOL was like that too.
Yeah, they had the search bar. They had their own. But
you couldn't pull up
was really big. Did you even? You weren't around.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's a fun little vintage.
But I thought it was like Quora.
Yeah.
Quora?
It was Quora. It was kind of Quora. It was kind of Quora. But then, we grew up without that. And then we went into the workforce and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden the internet was everything. And while you guys did it, it's like the same with video games. Like I could play an NES well. I can play GameCube. But the second it went to this and this, I'm like, I can't fucking do that shit anymore. And I think it's the same thing. Like you guys grew up on it. So it's not as daunting and paralyzing for you guys. Well, my generation is I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out of it.
But it's so crazy because it's I hear myself saying like my first instinct, I'm like, yeah, but then the generation after me, they have ChatGPT and they're fucked. And it's oh, I don't want to be the old man on the lawn. But at the same time, it's never changed this fast before.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it is kind of warranted. That whole theory that the reason only 90s kids will remember is a thing is because they were kind of the first generation in this exponential technological growth where the technology they grew up in was obsolete by the time they were an adult.
Yeah.
And that had kind of never happened before.
Yeah.
And so there's this whiplash of wait, that was real, right?
Yeah.
And that just happens so fast now that it's I actually don't think it's totally alarmist to be whoa, this is too much. You know what I mean? It's
Totally.
not being the Model T is too flashy. It's you're outsourcing your fucking brain, dude.
Every single thing that applied to my major in college that I took in college is an obsolete skill.
Yeah, what
every
was your major?
single thing that I learned. It was
He
journalism
went to
and
coal miner
advertising.
college.
Oh, yeah, I went to
He went to the Kentucky Institute of Coal. He doesn't talk about
I
it
went
very
to
much.
abortions in Texas college.
No, but I was. Do you listen to TrueAnon?
Mhm.
It's like a Chapo adjacent
Oh.
podcast. But there's this thing. Did you guys hear about the Zizians?
Oh,
Is that Scientology?
It was like this. No, it was like this.
there's
this
like a Game of Thrones
kinda
family.
Tech. This tech kind of intellectual group called the Rationalists, and the Rationalists had this offshoot that became a kind of a death cult that killed a bunch of people. But one big part of it was they were trying to figure out how to design AI to also protect us against AI, because they're just saying right now, what we're seeing of AI application right now is it's literally the Netscape. Right. What we have right now is the most, they're saying that in 5 years, AI will be making decisions for government and things like that. And it'll be,
Well, they're
teaching
already
students.
AI. They have models that they don't necessarily give the decision making over to, but they reference them for GM decisions in sports.
Yeah.
So for draft and all that shit, they literally upload all of their information and they have AI work it out. And that's that has just as much of a vote as the owner.
Yeah.
I will say though, sometimes I catch myself being oh, I'm coming at it from a stupid bottom of the peasant horde perspective where
Sure.
I'm I picture a government official being what should we do in here? But then I overheard these two people talking
That
in
is
a
what
cafe
the
the
Trump
other day.
administration
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
That is what they do.
Didn't they do that? Didn't they do that for terrorists?
Yeah.
That's why those islands that had nobody on them were awesome.
So funny.
I love how they constantly don't do the homework. They don't do the edit, and they're just
it's exactly
As a large
if
language
I was
model,
in,
I would impose.
I would be the same. in office. I'd be like, yeah, that covers all of it. Like I would literally.
I honestly, if I was in office, executive decisions. I don't know how more presidents were using those. That's insane.
I feel like it just became a thing like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like this whole
I think Obama did one, and everybody was like, "We're becoming a totalitarian state." And then I think people were
is he a king?
Yeah,
a king. Now it's just what we do.
Yeah. Anyways, you were gonna.
But yeah, I overheard these people in like a coffee shop talk. They were like doctors or worked in the medical field in some way, and they were talking about how they use AI to like cross-reference. Like if a doctor's going to prescribe someone a drug, and they are mentally just doing the math of like, I don't think this interacts with anything else that they're on. But they have like an AI back-end model that like goes across. And I was like, oh, there are like smart people using it well. I forget that sometimes. I was like, I don't want my fucking doctor being like, ChatGPT, should I cut her leg off? And I was like, oh, you're like cross-referencing databases and then using that to like check yourself to make sure there's no human error. Okay, yeah.
Not to mention, it could potentially house so much information that we don't like, that we either burn or lose or whatever, and then it's in there forever. So it can't be lost.
I was like, oh, we've like accumulated so much knowledge that one person can hold it, and so we built a machine to categorize that. That actually sounds like really smart. That's like, yeah. Well, really
somebody recently told me they're like, you're looking at it all wrong, dude. Like you should be syncing your Google Calendar with your wife with AI to then find like open time slots to either hang out or whatever. I will not do that. I mean, here's the thing. This is what scared me, right? Is like, well, then they have access to all of my things. And it's like, well, how'd you sign up for ChatGPT in the first place? And it's like, they have my email. Also, it is AI. They could probably hack in there with just even reading my secrets in my brain. Like, who knows? But it's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. Like, do I get ahead of this and do that and have it help our family exponentially, almost as if we have a team of employees working for us? Or do I still be afraid like every other Irish dummy in my family and be like, technology is for the devil?
That's actually why I don't think that we live in a simulation, because I feel like if I was in a simulation, they wouldn't make me this tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they'd make it like,
I don't feel like a computer.
Yeah, I'd be like, this is awesome. If I was in a simulation, I'd be like, wow, everything is working so well.
I disagree. I think if you were more alert, you'd have more energy to try to change things and identify and spread the word that this is an algorithm.
Whoa.
So I think they give you that. This is why I also think this life on Earth is hell, is because the fact that you're so smart, but you lack the energy to be the king or to literally stop evil in its tracks is its own version of hell. And the same way why this isn't heaven. This isn't hell, or this isn't heaven. It is hell because the good times, the fact that like it's not all just constant bad and constant just doom and gloom. One, you'd become numb to that. You'd get used to it. You'd be ready for the doom and gloom every single day. It doesn't reset. So the hope is what actually makes this hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The good times, that glimmer of happy makes the rest of it just all the more suffering.
Tell that to Matt Wright.
Yeah, dude, I tried to say this to Sebastian Maniscalco. I literally on Chrissy Chaos told him this theory, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's fair. You're worth $200 million, and you're married to a billionaire. There's no.
He's
hell.
like, I am the hope. I'm the glimmer.
I'm the devil.
I'm the glimmer that peeks into your life, and you go, I could do that, and then I go off and just be that forever.
I would say that's the worst. That glimmer right there, that I could do that, is the worst part of comedy right now, because of how many people we see where they're just like, they decide to do one dumb bit on their phone.
Yeah,
like I have a buddy who is in England, and he just started doing like a talking to his phone thing.
Right.
And it's like,
I hate how much that made me laugh.
But he's really, it's really good, and it's really
talking
original.
To his phone, in it?
But he went from like 30,000 followers.
30,000?
40? Wait, does he have a wife? And does he do different accents? And like he's going to a football game and he's like, that's right, in there. We're going to get some pints, are we? Oh, I like that guy. That was the most
that guy's Australian. You're talking about that Australian guy, Liam, who is like, he's a radio personality, and he does the thing on the train where it's like reading off the stops. And it's like, fucking tin on ham. But and he also does like the Darth Vader and that stuff. Is it?
I'm
that
not
guy?
sure. I just know this one guy always goes out. His wife will just be like trying to do work or eat or something. And he's like, you want to go down to the pub and watch the Reds?
All white
great.
kitchen.
Yeah.
That's Liam. They're in
All-white
Australia.
kitchen. What you notice and I notice is such an interesting study in psychology.
Well, I'm the robot that's like all white kitchen, right angles.
Blood would show up on the walls.
Yeah, oh God, Patrick Bateman. But no, this guy. I mean, he just started doing this thing, and I want to say by like the 10th video, he was signed to CAA.
Yeah,
you know, like, and it's like that type of thing happening in our business now. It just makes you. We all. Every single one of us at some point has been like, what if I do this character to do, and if it and then it does well a little bit, and you start thinking about your new life, you know, like.
Oh, you mean Frank
tour.
Rigatone?
Yeah.
New Jersey gym owner.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that didn't take off because then that would have been my life. Me dressed in American
Where did I
flag
miss
pants. It was during the pandemic, and my father-in-law was drinking a lot and radicalizing at a rampant pace. And so we moved in with him, and the only way that I could kind of deal with it was to make content in his image.
Yeah.
And this was like before I knew guns or anything was like a real no-no for social media or YouTube, because I literally
wanted to say you
wore-
had guns.
I
right?
wore every gun he had, and I was waving it around in his driveway. I'm talking AR-15, the Clint Eastwood gun, like literally every day. I'm like, what? And I'm like itching my head with it. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I went to Wardell's like uncle's house, and he let us hold the AK-47.
Yeah.
And I like posted the picture, and I was like, I did something like, I'm coming for you, Vladimir Putin. And people were so upset. They were like, dude, this is not cool to post a gun online and all this
so
stuff. And
funny.
like,
oh, my father-in-law has hammered drunk at a graduation party, taken me into his shop and showed me why bump stocks don't create automatic weapons. And he's like, these guys weren't even good shots. And he's like telling me, he's like, and he started acting out. He's like, if they were running, I'd be like, here and here and he like kept going for like 3 minutes. And I was like, I'm going to go back to the party.
Oh my God.
He's like, if Newtown really happened, this is how the Bud platter would work. And you're like, all right, well, this is nice for Kelly's
That's exactly
8th grade promotion.
100%. I love though the fact that like, so I'm old in my wife's family. They've known me since I was 10 years old. So I'm an elder statesman in terms of like significant others, which is awesome. It's so cool because like now I'm watching the younger cousins like bring in these fucking nervous kids that are just like, you know, meeting Mario, my father-in-law, for the first time. And he's literally toothless right now. He has no front teeth because he was building a house by himself and was holding the support beam and then reached down to get his hammer and it just hit his teeth. It fucking split his teeth. He popped it back out and then glued it shut and continued finishing the house. He's a fucking lunatic. He's like a legitimate land pirate.
He glued his human teeth with like
glued
industrial...
like the palate of his thing and the front of his fucking teeth. He glued like the whole thing.
Just with like fucking glue?
Yeah, I guess it was like, he's like safe with shit, so it definitely wasn't poisonous, but it
wasn't like
wasn't medical dentistry glue, I don't think. Like unless he's got a secret practice I'm unaware of.
Holy shit.
But that's like the level of dude he is. Like he's that much of a fucking like
man.
Yeah, if his hand got bit off, he'd fucking wrap a shirt around it and finish what he was doing. Like I'd admire it on some level.
Wow.
Yeah.
I admire that. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the whole point of me saying that, the young kids coming into the family, is now they're the ones being taken into the shop. That's like, it's real fun. I mean, this was...
But you're like an adult, so you're like 30 and you're like, okay, sir.
Yeah. All right. Is that gun unloaded? Can you please make sure? I said that. I don't know if I've said this on the pod, and frankly, if he watches this, he'll be very upset. But he was a first responder to 9/11. Legitimately saved like a shitload of lives. Saved lives. Helped out down there
whatever. And it took his. I almost like went back.
Didn't
I was
save
like,
anybody.
yeah, nobody was saved ever. But he.
Sorry, didn't save. Just pushed back into the cog of the machine. My bad. Sorry, produced more workers.
But he took.
Send her to be some dumb bitch that works at Walgreens and doesn't give you a bag. That's who you saved from 9/11.
Yeah.
Were they saved? Were they?
Were they? But he had cranes. He was head of his cranes helped with the transportation authority and all that stuff. So he was the first cranes down there to help like go through the wreckage and take out bodies, like really intense stuff. So when he gets drunk, sometimes there's like moments of like real PTSD surfacing where we talk about like pretty deep stuff. But this one time for like a Christmas Eve, he was hammered by like dusk. It was like, Santa was not even making his rounds yet. And he comes out and he has like a satin, almost like starter sports jacket, like something you'd see like somebody wearing the Giants or Knicks or whatever that you'd wear. And he comes out and he has this jacket and he turns it around and it's like a 9/11 commemorative, like never forget, these are the people who, helped, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, like half crying, half like showing these young kids this jacket. And I just kind of walked over and I was like, it kind of looks like you're a fan of 9/11. And he was fucking pissed. He was not happy at all. Walked upstairs, stayed upstairs for the rest of the night.
I love that. Just stayed with all his things.
Yeah.
There is something about that I think I can see it happening to me a little bit, where you just want a room with all your things.
Yeah, I'm there already, dude.
Yeah, it's like I just want a room with all my things and I can go to it. That's why dads go to like a
little like a
garage.
man cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even want a man cave. That makes it sound nice. I want like my little like. It's
I want
like,
a hut.
Like a
yeah, I
den.
want a hut.
Yeah.
Like what Bobby had. Bobby had a
Yes.
shed.
I would love a shed. I would love a shed that I could like even just cut in half and just put like cold plunge in one room and then just a standing coffin box in the next that I could just turn the lights off and think.
I want one of those money boxes where the money blows around and I catch my own money, but I think I trick myself into thinking I want a contest.
Do you ever see that tweet that was like
I do it every morning. It's my money.
That's your affirmation.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you ever see that tweet that said every boy has autism and every girl has borderline personality disorder?
Wow.
No,
I
that
do
is-
kind of think it's true.
But it's true.
Because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is like a sensory room.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Oh my God, I love a sensory room.
If I
But
could
also, I think to some extent, all of those rooms are us just being like, I wish I could leave my family.
Or I wish
But
I could
only
just...
this much.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, though? I think it is actually like a spoiled brat room. Like that's really what
yeah.
it is I want a place that is 100% me and nobody else has a say in any of this.
Yeah.
Because that I think is the like true missing element of anybody who lives in a family's life. It's like you have to give and take. It's all compromise all the time. You're sharing space. But like if you could have just a sliver, just an outhouse that is just Andy's or Mike's or Maddie's, I mean, wouldn't you take it?
That seems pretty like deeply human, actually. And like, I don't know. I think about like if we were like way, 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 way back in the day, like raising kids in like a communal village style, you actually probably did have some more individuality.
Yeah.
Because right now it's such a concentrated labor effort of like an individual family unit versus like if everyone's all sharing everyone's kids, you're
But I think
like
that's
still your
the-
own guy, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing is that like right away my head started going to like, well, if I just made enough money,
Of course, yeah,
I
me
could have
too.
a giant house and I could tell them all what to do.
Dude,
You know?
Galifianakis had like the idea. I don't know if he still lives there, but he had like a farm in South Carolina
No, it
as
was
soon
North
as he
Carolina.
made money.
North Carolina, because he
Boone.
was my friend's babysitter when
Yeah,
he
it
was a kid. When she was a
Boone, North
kid.
Carolina.
It's a great idea to where it's like, if I could do that and move the important people in my life to live within my immediate proximity, I would do that in a heartbeat.
It's like Nate Land or whatever.
yeah.
it's exactly Nate Land.
I think
It's kind of a wholesome Rick Rogan Austin situation.
The second
Just terraform a city.
We'd call it the mothership.
the second that I could move up to the Hudson Valley and then just still like book whatever,
Yeah.
you know, come down, do tours, things like that, I would without hesitation.
Yeah. I think it's. That's the weird dream and like weird kind of what is that called? The contrast of just our personalities in general is like we're all obviously like busy addicts. Like we love the hard work of stand up and all that shit, but there is like this deep need inside of us to also rest. That we're just very clearly either ignoring out of necessity or out of just like that's pussy shit. But it's so funny that it's like those are. I wonder if people that have that like I'm deeply rest or I just want to rest and I'm fine doing this and this is my life and I'm with my family and there's nothing better
They're doing
on earth.
great.
They have there's nothing. There's not even a shred of
There's
them.
something broken to me that I'm like, I would crawl up a wall. Like I could not. I would be itchy. I can't.
I'm telling you, my furlough to the suburbs this weekend. I went and stayed with my parents for 3 days. I want a lobotomy. I want to fucking. It was so nice to just like I already went over it the last episode,
but Maddie, you're young as shit. Do you think there'll be a point? I mean, obviously, you can't even answer this, but do you think could you see at any point with your personality, that you could like or would ever want to quiet it down a little bit?
I always think like, oh, that's for sure gonna come someday. I'm gonna want to like move out of the city and have kids, and then I know I'm not like there yet, but like every year that I get closer to it, and I only ramp up. I'm like. Maybe it won't come and maybe I won't have kids and maybe I'll live in New York and just be like a fun aunt that lives in New York.
Yeah.
But like, some part of that idea does make me kind of sad. Sure. But I also think I enjoy just like having fun and being selfish a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I do have like a real maternal, like I also syringe feed my rabbit when he has a tummy ache. So I'm like, I probably will be a mom. I don't know. I mean, that seems like a pretty big indicator.
It's also that burst of defensiveness because I got this around a lot of things maturity wise. I'm an immature guy. I'm late to like becoming a human being. So a lot of like when I would ramp up, even like let's say up against quitting drinking, even when I knew I was like, all right, I'm living like I'm young in the sense that I'm partying hard and I could either ramp this down or quit all the way. And then I'd be like, no, I'm going out harder this weekend. It's almost like this weird internal force that is competing against imminent change. Do you know what I mean? Like, or it's just coming and I knew it was coming and who knows? Like, I'm not saying this about you. I'm just saying this about me, where it's like, I've fought against those things or just been like, no, this is my life. And I've made this decision where I think both sides, it's like, if you make any decision, there's what if for the other decision. So it's like, if you don't have kids, you're going to still in the recesses of your mind, even if you're happy with the choice, just be like, oh, I wonder what that would have been like. In the same way that people without kids are just like, I'm just envisioning my life on the beaches of Thailand right now, balls deep in a fella.
Really?
I don't know if you're trying to get
Did
different.
you think when you left Rockland, did you think like in your head, were you like,
I was never coming back. Yeah, never. Because I resented where I was from until I came back. And I think that was one of those things where I'm stupid in the sense that I think there's perfection out there. Like there's something in my brain that really believes that like some sort of bliss can be achieved.
Yeah, you just got to lock in.
You just got to lock in through Christianity.
Yeah, optimize Christianity. Yeah, if you optimize your Christianity.
And you'll just get there.
You'll lock in.
Lock in is the most important part, though, because
it doesn't
optimizing is
happen
half
without
of it,
optimizing the Christianity. And
Right,
if you
but
think
if you
you're going to
don't lock
optimize
in-
Islam, good luck. It's not going to happen.
We saw
He
the
tried it.
optimism.
Mike's in-law stopped you.
Yeah, not a Mario has something to say about it.
I might regret saying that.
That's fine. Don't worry. I'm deleting something from the beginning of the episode.
Just so you know, there's something deleted from every episode.
It's like something blue, something borrowed.
Something deleted.
Something Jeff died. We say Jeff die every time.
Yeah, almost every episode.
Every single episode.
He is the safe word of this podcast.
Yeah. We go, oh, do you see Jeff die? And then I go, oh, you should probably take that Jeff Tye thing out.
And now it's impossible.
Yeah.
Which I love.
It's okay.
What was I talking about? Bliss, being stupid?
Yeah, bliss.
Oh, yeah,
you
perfection.
think bliss is achievable.
Yeah, I don't really remember
I'm the
where I
same
was
way.
getting
I
at.
think that, like, if I do these certain things and I change a certain thing about myself, and I like continue down that path and make these changes,
Yeah.
that I'll somehow, not only will I be a happier, more gregarious person, but it will also reverberate into these like financial and career rewards and, all these things. And then I get a bunch of stuff that I've wanted and I'm still the same person. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Like,
do you ever feel happy though that like you ever get like think weird and get into the string theory of
I
this
just
all?
said no. Do you ever get
I
happy?
didn't think that was
No.
just the question.
No, I don't.
But do you ever like consider that if there are infinite parallel universes and infinite choices that were made by Andrew Jackson Hayes, that's not your middle name, but why
Let's
not?
go with it.
Andrew Jackson.
Hayes, not even my last name.
Did
but
I say
yeah.
Hayes?
It's okay. It's like getting introduced by a black MC. You guys give it up for Andy Haynes.
unless it's Will. It's like,
Yeah.
he walks off. What was I saying?
Infinite.
String theory?
String theory. Is
We
there
were
a part
going to
of
tackle
you?
string theory?
Yes, I was. I was going to really explain
Yeah.
it.
Do you have 7 hours?
But do you ever think that even if you've made these choices and this is the timeline in which you are conscious in, don't you think that everything you want, like alternative to your current life, exists out there at some level and you can be happy for yourself in that realm?
That's insane, and no, but I am happy, which is like a weird thing. I come on here and I bitch, and I think sometimes that I get in the habit of like, I think that's how we're supposed to socialize, is you're supposed to talk about things like, like I was talking about earlier, like I don't want to have conversations anymore where I feel pressure to be intellectual or funny.
Yeah.
Like I just want to talk about details, and people go, yeah, I also have details, and but I have
Wait,
found...
hold on. Details like the magazine or details?
No, remember I was talking to my parents this weekend,
Yes.
and it was just like I was just telling them about like a storm I drove through, and they were like, "Wow." And it's like if I did that at the cellar table, like people would be like, "Are you talking about a fucking storm right now?" Like that's just how my brain works. My brain is just like, "Oh, let's talk about the details," you know. And
I mean, my brain works with bringing up string theory, and everybody gets bummed out, or is just like, "Well, that's incoherent."
No, I do a similar thing where I always try to come up with a metaphor to explain the thing I'm talking about, and it just complicates it further.
Yeah.
I do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I have a happiness in like that if I can like take stock and like be like, what, I'm actually kind of happy because I had a trajectory at a certain point, like 2013, 2014, Comedy Central presents, sitcom writing job, and I thought that there was going to be this certain thing that came from that,
Sure.
and I'd be in a certain place where today.
Yeah.
If those things would have worked out, I wouldn't have met Rosebud. I would have never worked the cellar. I would have never done all these things. I would not have Minnow.
Mhm.
And so I don't really get upset about the like decisions and things like that. I mean, honestly, I think like my happiness is like 4 spots a week and 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Like I literally, if I can reach those things and I'm just not pushed to the limit.
I don't know when I've last gotten 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Like not even on the road, dude. It's impossible.
Well, it's
Wow,
I'm
really?
so deeply ingrained in myself right now because our 9-month-old, we've attempted to sleep train him, and we have successfully several times, but each time it's like a teething thing or a fever or something like that just basically resets it back to 0. So he's just fucking waking up all the time, and I feel like I'm just like batshit.
Thank you, Maddie, for not doing the thing where you're like, my rabbits actually have a trouble sleeping.
My rabbit diarrheaed on the newspaper I laid out, so I totally get that.
Oh no, I was gonna do something way more obnoxious. I was gonna be like, it's so crazy. I'm getting like 11 hours of sleep and I'm still tired. Which is true. I'm tired all the time to the point that I'm like kind of worried it's like a medical condition.
Yeah.
But I'll kind of
No, I
address
think
that.
it's the food we're eating in America. I genuinely think that a lot of what we're eating is slowing us down to a real, like, a slog.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the chemtrails.
And the fluoride. The fluoride.
Well, that's gone now.
Really?
Well,
Not our water.
yeah,
New
I
York's
think,
gonna
but
stay
I think
libtarded.
there was
We
a
did-
guidance that was.
I think Rockland County, my county, is one of the few counties in New York State that does not fluoridate their water.
Nice.
Yeah,
Your teeth look great.
They're
Yeah, they
fine.
do.
They
Yeah.
don't. They're starting to meth out, but I'm I'll get new bonding.
How quaint was meth? It's gone now. It's only
No,
for
it's a
gay guys
pill.
partying.
Smoking? Do
Yeah.
people smoke meth still? I don't know.
I know
why.
someone who
think
did that on accident. Thank you so much for asking. I feel so cool. Is it the boots? Yeah, my ex-boyfriend, I think at one point, my like high school ex-boyfriend one time was like, I smoked weed with a homeless woman and I think it was meth.
I accidentally smoked crack like that, so it happens.
Oh, maybe
Hold
it was
on.
crack.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I don't remember.
Why was he smoking weed with a homeless woman?
I don't know. Because he
Yeah.
was a bad boy.
That is so
Because he was really cool.
I thought that's how
'Cause he
progressive
loves
he
me?
was. Yeah. It's just like, listen, we're all people
it wasn't
here.
like mutual aid. Yeah.
If we're gonna smoke weed, she deserves some weed. Hey guys, you're in the circle. She looks like she could use some.
That's like that Metzger joke where he's like, I thought, he's like, I saw a homeless person.
Oh my God.
and
I think about that joke all the
He's
time.
like, I made eye contact. Like, I treated you like a human, so that's enough.
Yeah.
He's like, we made eye contact and he was fisting himself or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, you thought I was going to say jerking off. No, little church mouse.
Yeah.
He was rummaging in his ass like he was trying to find his keys.
Dude, is that on White Precious?
I think
Yeah.
so.
That
It is.
fucking album,
Kurt's
dude.
one of the
Oh.
best comics ever. He's
Zero.
so good.
Every single track. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have to wrap it up pretty soon. Is there anything
We do.
that we didn't get to talk about that you want to talk about?
Wow.
No, that's most of what's going on with me. I'm sleeping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just got a text from my wife. I think Luca has my feet.
Oh.
So that's cool. Just
She's
an
just
update
sitting
on
in your
my-
house just with 2 stubs. That's how she texts. Oh, the Zin just started working again. What are you up to? What are you want to plug?
I kind of just finished like my first like stretch of like actually like touring consistently and doing
Hell
an hour,
yeah.
and I'm hoping to tape a special soon.
Let's go.
So I like that's hopefully what's up next is
Great.
like DIYing that at the gutter.
Everybody should check out Maddie's stuff.
Yeah, if you
She's
happen
absolutely
to be
hilarious.
unaware, which I doubt you are, but if you
Yeah.
happen to be unaware, truly one of the strongest comics out right now, an absolute beast, killer. Check the clips on Instagram; they're all great, but like a fucking monster comic. So go check her out.
Dude,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
guys are the
100%.
coolest. Thank
You're
you.
fantastic.
Oh, I might have a Don't Tell set coming out soon.
Oh, cool.
I think that's that'll be if you
They're
want.
getting good people these days. MikeCannonComedy.com for my dates all over the road. Point Pleasant, New Jersey. You know it. There several times a year and all over the place. I don't know. I don't feel like opening my phone. Who cares? MikeCannonComedy.com.
Stretch for a second.
And YouTube. Guys, we're doing a whole thing here. I'm trying on my YouTube. For years and years, I've been just pumping thousands of dollars into content that nobody has ever seen. I've released it. Nobody watches it, though. So now I finally have a company managing it. They're putting the YouTube out. They're doing the thing, the SEO. Hopefully you guys see it. Hopefully whatever. Subscribe, Mike Cannon Comedy. That'll help.
I am hanging out in the city for the next 2 months.
Let's
so come to the
go.
Comedy Cellar. I'll be there most nights. Otherwise, subscribe to our channels. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Mike and Maddie's channels. Like things, comment. And I will be at McMenamin's Mission Theater July 26th for the Healing Project Foundation.
McMenamins.
McMenamin's.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Irish pub name.
It's like in Finding Nemo where they're trying to say an enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like,
Anemone. But yeah, that's us. That's the Beautiful Boys. Did I do something wrong?
No, that was the best.
Just my little contribution.
Thanks for watching.